Hello and welcome to the Medic Side Hustles podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Shubhendra Kulshresht, an executive coach and an emergency physician helping clinicians like you make medicine your side hustle. Now, if you've ever wondered what's actually possible for an IMG and what can happen if you take your content creation seriously, and eventually what it feels like to be a clinical entrepreneur, then this episode is for you. In the second half of today's episode, I'll be handing over the guesting as usual to Aman to ask me whatever he'd like to ask me about non-clinical careers and coaching and everything else. Live audience, you'll once again get a chance to have your questions answered at the end, so leave them in the comments below. Today, I'm joined by the amazing, the magnanimous Dr. Aman Sharma. Thanks for joining me, Aman. How are you?
Thanks, Shub. Great to be here. Thanks for inviting. I think I was a bit envious, to be honest, because I was seeing your podcast and I'm like, man, my podcast is so behind, people have taken the lead.
I have to say, I was very inspired by you. I think the journey is unique for everybody and it goes in all ways. And I've been on your podcast as well. And I think that's done fantastically well. And thank you for having me there. And I'm really excited to have you on this one.
No worries. Thanks, Shub. Let's have a great time.
Yeah. So this podcast really is about doctors who've made quote unquote medicine their side hustle. So people who've gone beyond just the clinical work in terms of the way they make an impact. And I think to start off with, I'd love to kind of hear a big picture overview of what your journey has been like. What all sort of things do you do that make a difference in this world? And then we'll kind of dive into how you got there and what people can learn. And if they're inspired to do something similar, what are their first steps is what I want to get to. So yeah, just give us a brief overview of who you are. What do you do?
Sure. Thanks, Shub. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Aman. I'm also an international medical graduate hailing from India. I used to be an emergency physician and I did come to the UK on a sponsorship pathway. I didn't have MRChem, I didn't have lab. I came to the sponsorship pathway. And during this journey, when I was trying to find stuff, there was barely any information available regarding any of the sponsorships, be it MTI, be it the Royal Colleges. And moreover, I was coming to UK with my 3-year-old toddler and also my wife, who was about 5 to 6 months pregnant. So, I mean, I would to say, it was so overwhelming at that time. And I was trying to find more resources online, some podcast, some video, some vlog or blog, anything. But, there was such less information. There was information about people who want to do PLAB. There was information at consultant level. But, in between this place where you are not that fairly freshly baked medical graduate, but you've seen the world and you want something. So that's what made me think, oh man, I need to do something. So it was just, I came in November 2020 to the UK. December, I started making my videos predominantly about MTI. The market was different, the demand was different. And then during my journey making the YouTube videos, I got a bit of attraction. Then I started making videos about training in the UK. Your basics, your day-to-day life basics. How do you get a GP? How do you get a dentist? How do kids get admission to school? So whatever I struggled, I made a video. Because at some point, if someone asked me, I would have forwarded them my video links. That's how this whole journey began. So, I mean, yeah, it was quite different because you were making content without knowing the stuff, right? So you were also anxious, oh, this is going to go wrong, or people are not going to like it, and so many things. But yeah, it did go well. So at the moment, I'm close to 10,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, UK Dreamers. It's almost 500,000 views. So it has done well, I would say. It's reached the very specific niche where we wanted. And yeah, I'm still learning, still happy to learn from people like Shub, who are doing amazingly well. So that's my journey. I would say it reflects everyone in some way or the other.
Yeah, I was just thinking the audience are going to love this episode because there's so many common themes around my previous fantastic episodes and having these commonly shared challenges, but also, building to a level of success and doing things that stem from really being bothered by something missing in the world. You faced a challenge and you chose to do something about it. And a lot of the audience, a lot of the guests that I get on this podcast have that intention, that sort of inner desire, and that burning need to just fix things, just like, oh, just somebody do it, fine, I'm just gonna do it. Like they're almost forced into making that happen, and that tends to be one of the most successful things they end up doing. Take me back to that first year. So November of 2020, you were looking for all of these resources. You said nothing's out there. What was it that pushed you into that realm of saying, okay, let me do it? And was there an intended outcome you were looking for at that point?
Great question. So, I mean, the basic reason was very simple. I had struggled and I had struggled a lot to get through this point, right? Because I think the world saw COVID in March 2020. It all went very, very crazy. And that's what, when we tried to look for resources, how would I get my child to a school? Or, how do my wife who's pregnant now does go and get a doctor there? So these are small, small life basics, I would say. But, when you go and search it online, you don't have much resources. Of course, as an immigrant, I mean, that time I barely knew anyone on UK other than, few people at my hospital trust who had helped me come here. But that was not enough, isn't it? So that's what I realized, man. If I'm struggling and I'm coping with this, people who've been coming and going would have gone through the same phase. But no one has actually stepped up and made a solution to this. So I was like, man, let's just do this, because at that time, you were housebound for 2 weeks because of the COVID, the quarantine and stuff. And that's when I thought, let's do it. I mean, I do have a channel in India which I made basic health videos upon. It's grossed over, 1 million views and something. So I stopped making videos, but that is when I had the zeal. Okay, I've stopped making videos on that aspect. Let's convert the channel. Let's make something different
Mm,
so things become easy. And maybe
yeah.
like for instance, at that time I had one daughter, then we had another daughter, and if I have to remember how do I fill a school form, I don't have to ask 10 people again. I'll go back to my video and just see and get things done.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's something so beautiful about trying to capture the little learnings, those little highlighted moments that you only think about when you're going through the process. And if you were to look back and even try and teach yourself or somebody else, even a year down the line, often those things just kind of evaporate out of our memory. And I think that's where the real value lies. So building and showcasing what you're learning as you go is a fantastic strategy. In terms of how you got started on YouTube, it sounds like you had the skills beforehand, and sometimes it sounds like your Indian channel was quite famous and did well, and then you did another one which also has done well now. But sometimes people try their hand at a couple of things and it doesn't go really well, it doesn't take off the way it did, and then they hesitate to kind of pivot, thinking, oh, will I just, like, the sunk cost fallacy of what do I do with this thing? Will it just disappear and dissolve into nothingness? All my efforts gone to waste. But just speak to that for a moment in terms of, like, how did your first channel influence the second channel?
So I would like to thank one of my spine surgeons in India who actually operated my spine. So
Wow.
basically, he was the one, who caught me early and he was like, Aman, why don't you make YouTube videos? I would go back to this to about 2014, 15. I didn't take him seriously back then. I started content making about 2017, 18. So I would say what to say. The initial thought was sown by him. And then it gradually became, I was like, people are making content, but there's misinformation. I want to make content, but a bit differently. So I just started making, like the first video which hit 50,000 views was, the truth behind ventilator, because there was a common conception back home, like people gone into ventilator, the hospitals making money, they've
Mm,
already been dead, and so many things.
mm,
So that was my first video, which I made in the emergency department in Apollo hospitals. And there was a patient, but I didn't show the face and stuff. But I did show the patient is on ventilator. This is the heart rate, and he's alive. He most likely will get better. And it was just a 3.5 minute video. And few days later, someone told me, one of your video has gone a bit, it's taken a hit. And I saw it was over 10,000 views. And I was like,
wow.
wow, this is really good. 6 months down the lane or something, it had garnered over 50,000 views. And I was like, man, this is it, what I want to do. So I did start making, but I would say YouTube or any content making is a different beast. I think we as clinicians take it for granted. Like I took it for granted because I made videos continuously. then I stopped. Then I came back, and
Mm.
then I stopped. I think this sort of behavior is not acceptable in terms of content creation. That's what I want to tell the colleagues out there. If you're thinking of making a content, it is a full-time commitment, guys. It's as important as your marriage, your friendship, your love. If you don't invest in it in a periodic, regular basis, your audience is going to go away. Your views are not going to hit. And eventually, as Shub was saying, it does make you feel to quit. I've quitted making videos for my Indian channel because, again, I don't get time now. But yeah, quitting is fairly easy, guys. You make 20 videos, it doesn't kick off, you quit. Game over. But the hardest part is making the 21st video. And that's what I would admire about YouTube because, again, when you started making this, you wouldn't have thought it might get a hit, it might not. But that time itself, you had created a long list of 10 months. And when I was booking, I was like, bro, it's already 3 months down the lane, man. And he's like, yeah, it's all gone. So that was
Yeah,
the
that for me
optimism.
that
See?
was yeah, and that was the sign for me to know that oh, this is something that people want to participate in. This is what people want to do. So like, if it's getting busy, that's probably good. And at the same time, I said to myself that I'm not gonna judge on a episode by episode basis as to like, am I doing well, am I doing badly? I'm gonna just do this. I'm gonna make a list of people. Maybe half of them will be up for it. In fact, like I think 90% of them were up for 99% were probably up for it. Maybe one or two people who said I really don't have the time right now, but I said okay, I'm going to do that, and then we'll look back and review. And I didn't even have to wait for the end. It's done so well. I've said I need to do a season 2, and I've got big people planned for season 2 of this as well. But yeah, completely agree with the discipline needed behind that, because if you're going to put in the effort to do the episodes, to create the content, and to think about all of the strategy and the people that you're serving behind that, then having that consistency is the simplest and the smallest thing you can do to actually start benefiting from it. I mean, I'm post night shift and you're pre night shift, but here we are because this means reaching the people we want to reach and talk to them about something we're enthusiastic about. And I don't know about you, I get an episode out every Wednesday, sometimes 2 episodes in a week. Is that fairly a good frequency of posting?
That's very good frequency. So I would tell about a thing that I'm doing with one of my patient entrepreneurs. It's a project we call as Thrombo Watch. So it's basically making videos about prevention strategies for any blood clot related problems, but just not putting the scientific stuff to it, but pushing the patient stories and stuff. So me and Lewis, we started Thrombo Watch about 6 to 7 weeks ago. To our surprise, it garnered 50,000 views just in 6 weeks.
Wow.
So, and this is just YouTube. Okay, we garnered about 20,000 plus views on TikTok. Insta was about 10, 15,000, trailing a bit behind. We didn't post
Yeah.
anything on LinkedIn. We did want it to, but we just, holded our hands off. We were like, okay, let's see how the response is initially. Because again, as you said, the strategy basically was like, let's make videos and see. So we met one day, we made 6, 7 episodes, and we thought, okay, this is enough for us. But meanwhile, we
Mm.
were supposed to make more videos. I was not well, the schedule was not permitting, then the nights and this, that. So eventually, you again go into that panic mode. Oh man, how am I going to get the next episode? So I think that's a very, very important thing to all of us and to all of the people listening and trying to, make their mind whether they should start podcasting or creating content. Consistency, guys. If you miss one single week, it's like,
Mm.
stock market prices, they come down shattering, and it can be devastating actually.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's something underlying all of this, what we're talking about right now, that I think we should really talk about upfront. And that is, what does it mean to be successful, and why is that success important? Why are the views important? Why are they meaningful to you, me, or other people content creating, whether it's YouTube or LinkedIn or Spotify or whatever platform they're choosing to use? What does that actually signify? And I think you've kind of alluded to it being a test of something that's meaningful to the audience and how many people are actually suffering from that problem or the challenge that you're trying to address. But just speak to that a bit more for me. Is for somebody who says, I don't want to chase views, I don't care about being famous. I mean, I try and tell them there's a difference between being an influencer and being a thought leader and somebody who leads change. So can you just speak to that for me a little bit?
Absolutely. I mean, when we all try to, I would give a very simple example. You've invested your money in some sort of mutual fund or ISA or something. And when it starts giving you the return back, you think, I've done a great job. Content creation or being on any social media is a sort of similar way. That's what I'd say, because you eventually are investing your time, your energy, expectation of yourself and of the people who are like, watching you. So it's just not, okay, let's go out, do something. I don't care about views. I do care about views, because if I don't get views, I feel, oh man, something is missing. I could have done it better. So it does give
Mm.
me the edge. Let's do things better. That's number one. Number two, again, as you said, we guys are not entertainers. So I'm not dancing out and making a video expecting people to like it, not like it. My niche is very specific. I just go with people who want to do something with healthcare, right? Be it innovation, be it journeys in the NHS, working, and as you said, making medicine side hustle. That's your niche. So your niche is very, very specific, isn't it? So if
Yeah.
people are watching a very specific niche and yet you're not garnering, I would say it's not like you'll garner 10,000 views, but even if you garner 100 views, that means a lot to people who create the content. And I would say for anyone, if you're not getting views and you're still happy with it, that's the wrong pitch we've gone into, because you should get views, guys. It's your time, energy, passion, so much, because if you're not getting views, you'll eventually stop making videos like I did. And that's when
Mm.
the what is the guilt comes in. You feel like, oh man, I screwed this. There's no point now.
Yeah. So you came to the UK, you had a channel in India, then you decided to kind of pivot into talking about your existing challenges when you were in the UK. Talk about where that's taken you. So your channel's done well. What are some of the opportunities? What's been the return on investment for you over the last 5 or 6 years?
Thanks. First and foremost, I'll tell you a very simple story. So I went back to India in October 2023. Okay. So I'm catching a domestic plane to go to Delhi from my hometown. And suddenly a girl comes in front of me and he says like, hi sir, I've seen your videos. And I'm like, oh boy, what the heck, man? Because it's a plane. You don't know anyone who's sitting beside you. And there's a young girl who's just saying, where you're making videos. So everyone's looking at me like, as if what I've done. And then that lady, she sat 2, 3 rows behind me and she's like, sir, I need your number. I'm like, okay, let the plane land.
Wow.
So that's when I felt, okay, I've done something, man, because you don't expect this to happen when you've gone back home into India. Like, yes,
Yeah.
in UK, if I get onto somewhere, get some people, oh, I think I've seen you somewhere. That's still okay, man. But yeah, in the
Mm.
country with the population of India, banging on someone who's just seen. And the best part,
Wow.
I did have connection with that girl who she's working in around Manchester now. She's a clinical fellow.
Wow.
So it did pave the way, because you did manage to help someone from their initial stages to come to the UK and get a work. So though the role might be very, very small, but you did a bit. So that's what the practical aspect of it is. In terms of
Mm.
me getting a ROI, I would say, so when I applied for the NHS Clinical Entrepreneurs Program, which, it's gone absolutely crazy
Yeah.
competitive now. So when you go through the application, you put your stuff in, or this is what you want to bring it, everything. But then you have a section where what you already have done, isn't it? What's your website?
Mm.
What's your social media handles and everything? So yes, by that time my YouTube channel had about 5,000 subscribers, 200,000 views, or something. So it was something which was in the background, which I could validate my, thoughts and my thinking process with. Okay, I've got a channel. If you guys help me, I'll make it bigger. So
Mm.
in that way, it worked really well, and that helped me get into a program. I'll also tell one more example. When I was giving my IMT specialty interviews, okay, we used to have four
Okay.
sections then. So the clinical, ethical, a commitment to medicine and commitment outside medicine. What do you do, right? So the fourth
Mm.
section was commitment outside medicine. So the one of the examiners, they asked me interviews like, so tell us, you've written up something about a YouTube channel. What does this do? And I'm like, oh, I make videos about international medical graduates and also UK grads to get into training and this and that. And he just asked me, okay, can you tell me your channel's name? And I just said, yeah, it's called UK Dreamers. And this gentleman takes his phone off. and he searches on YouTube. He's like, oh, this guy is real. He's not bluffing. At that time, it was about 5,000 subscribers. I was like, you guy, oh man, you're busy. You got to tell me how you're making content and everything. And you get 5 minutes for that section. Me telling
Okay.
these guys and they online checking it 1 minute and that's it. The section is over. I got full marks for that
Wow.
section. The rest 4 minutes, there were two interviewers. They were fighting. One was a geriatrician, one was an acute medic, and they were fighting which specialty should I be interested in. You know, so this is the magnitude of things that you do without knowing what impact they can have in your life. So I would say
Yeah.
my YouTube channel let me into IMT training. Great. Let me into entrepreneurs program. Great. Let me, I would say, meet you and so many other people. So I would say the magnitude can be enormous, but again, you what to say, the amount of energy you put in, it also
Mm.
is quite big. As you rightly said, you've done your nights, man. Working a night in
Yeah.
ED, it's not like working a night in some other specialty where you can lay down, close your eyes, and get lost in the transition or something. It's bang on, man. It's continuous.
Yeah.
It's relentless. Well, I'm going to go and work tonight. So after finishing this podcast, I would go for a sleep because I know
Yeah.
I will not get
Quick
rest.
nap.
So I would say, guys and girls, it's a lot of commitment to it. As you can see, Shiv and me, it's not like we expect you guys to do the same, but whatever you do, if you have to do this, you have to go the extra mile. Then only you'll get the return of your investment. Otherwise, you'll get
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah, it's not easy, and recently I've been coming across a lot of content and just my own thought process as well is the amount of time and effort it actually takes to do something properly is so much bigger than we imagine it to be. And when we start this journey, you're in that phase of disillusionment and thinking like, oh, we're gonna achieve big things, we're gonna do like 5 different income streams, and we're gonna have like massive following and all of that. And it's just like, even if you do 10% of that, it's going to take you the next 3 to 5 years to do properly and actually scale up into something amazing. And I'm so tired of, and this was me as well in olden times, was like, oh, how else can I make money? Looking at like Amazon affiliate deals and like, oh, I'll start a random YouTube channel about like something that's trending right now, or like, oh, I'll put the word AI into this and just like do something. But actually, to make it real, to understand who you're speaking to, who your audience is, what value you're giving them, and all of the other allied skills, it takes a lot of time. And I think one of the things, at least for me, that's kept me going is the alignment with my own unique strengths and talents that I already had but didn't realize. And then was really figuring out what my mission and vision was. Like when you started your channel, you said, oh, this thing is missing in the world. I need to make it happen. I need to create it. And then when you saw that being created, like that example of this girl reaching out to you and her life being changed as a result of what you did, is really the fuel that I think is necessary to keep going. And when you do these side gigs of like small income streams or like little passive quote unquote, there's no real passive income, but like all of these small things, you don't get that feedback, you don't get that refueling, and you just kind of try and keep going over and over. What's Have you had any experience with that as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because people think if you're a YouTuber, you make millions. Absolutely wrong, guys. Because again, people who are in the entertaining side of it, like Mr. Beast and all these guys, were just if you watch their videos with one eye closed, you would still understand it. With one ear closed, you would still understand it. Because that's the job of their content creation. Whereas when you come to specific contents and which are really meaningful and would actually make an impact, as you were saying, then it can be a bit, I would say, not that optimism, because I would also add to this, there is a lack of camaraderie here, basically.
Mm,
Like, for instance, 10 people, right? Sure. And if I meet someone who's looking for someone for a mentorship, in some form or the other, I would say, yeah, yeah, I know this, he's a friend of mine. Just text him, he's doing this stuff. I would
mm,
say that sort of networking and that sort of what to say, supporting each other is what's gone missing. I feel
yeah.
in my younger days when I was, in India and still a reg, I think that was still there. I would say maybe it's a generational shift, maybe because we are in a different country. That also adds up to the pressure to us because, yes, we don't have family, we don't have friends, we don't have people who went school with us. So essentially, our networking is very, very small, isn't it? And we are very,
Mm.
very, I would say, fragile in terms of the networking because we get one chance to sell ourselves off. That person
Yeah.
might like this, might not like this, might push this, might not push this. So I honestly feel this sort of what to say, the networking and the support is what's definitely needed in people like us who want to be doctors. I'm not saying we're quitting to be doctors, but we
Yeah.
want to do it on a side hustle, as you rightly said. So yeah, many a times, people say, "Oh, he keeps making YouTube videos. He's not, he's not interested in being a doctor." He's People are there to judge, bro. I was just reading something very nicely. You should be talking good about yourself to others. The rest of the world is there to talk negative about you. So I would say, that's what we should be doing. Rather
I
just
love
doing it
that.
for us. But yeah, if you've got a group of people who you're like-minded people, yeah, I wouldn't say someone's a big star, someone's a small star. We all are stars in different galaxies, I would say. But yeah, we should be supporting each other. That would definitely create a bit of a, well networking and a good managed space where more and more people
Yeah.
could come and learn and be successful.
Yeah. So I'm just about halfway through my beta cohort of the actionship, the clinician impact actionship. And these were all sort of clinicians from all over the UK, one from Berlin as well. And kind of they didn't know each other and they didn't know me. But when I was having these early initial interviews with them, one of the most common themes was that they feel so out of place in their perspective of their career. Like they feel like they're alone in this journey. People don't understand why they want to do something beyond medicine. Why aren't they just happy with their job? So many people thinking about like, you're just quitting, you're just like, you can't put up with it, all of these things. And then when you bring those people into the same room, there's like this magical moment that happens when there's like-minded thinking and there's camaraderie and there's growth and there's respect for each other. And it's just been such a fantastic experience. And likewise, I think coming on LinkedIn for me and finding people like you and other creators on here has been absolutely game changing for what's possible out there.
I mean, even in our case, for instance, right, we did get to know each other on LinkedIn and we were trying to have a chat, and then suddenly let's meet up, and Akshay comes into play, and suddenly he's a common link between you and me, and we're like, from being a very, very sort of formal relationship and formal talk, we were like, bro, let's do this.
Exactly.
I think breaking that chain is also very, very important because yes,
Yeah.
formality is needed. I won't say like, anyone would come and do it. But yeah, the first few meets can be a bit formal. And then I think casual approach is much more better because then you don't have the unnecessary hindrances. What if I tell this to Shub and he feels it bad? I mean, yes, you might feel bad, but I should not resist telling you that because that's how we
Yeah.
grow and that's how, if you say, Aman, you could have done this better, man. And I should not be taking it a negative way rather than, okay, if
Mm.
Shub is telling me this, he would have seen something. Let's change, this or let's
Yeah.
modify this. And I think that also would make a big difference. As you rightly said, meeting the right people in a space which is safe for them. If you remember me posting a video, a small funny video, like, I will be an entertainer, I will be an entrepreneur, and this, that and people just judging you at your places, it can be difficult. And I would say, guys,
Yeah.
it's meant to be difficult because you're not the random species of humans. You're a bit different, guys. Take pride in being different.
That's it. That's it. Take pride. And so let's get into that a little bit more and give them even more value. So if someone's saying, "Oh yes, this is my day. I'm going to do it. I'm going through these challenges and I want to talk about something. I want to make a difference in this world." And I want to turn to social media because it's the easiest free resource out there, be it LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever. What are some of the big steps they need to be considering? Is it things like niching? Is it finding their own challenges? Where do they start and what are the core steps for them to take?
The first and foremost step is why.
Mm.
You have to have a clear understanding of your why. Why are you making this? Why will you make this different? Or how will this bring in a change? So hence and so forth. Like for instance, like you started making videos on side hustle, isn't it? Like engaging with people, making your own community and stuff. Similarly, if someone wants to make a video on health differences, inequalities or something, people have already made the content, but you would have seen something different which you can introduce. So nothing should stop you, number one. Number two, again, find the right people because, as I said, you will find people who will turn you down, say no, no, no. I would give a very small example. So, in my entrepreneurship journey, right, I created a program called Tulip, the UK Life Induction Program. Okay. I think I would have pitched it to at least 20, 25 NHS trusts. I did pitch it nationally on a virtual platform. I mean, I did so much just to, get hold of so we could make the induction program a bit different and it would have helped people in a longer run. But no one actually cared because, there was money involved and there was money was secondary. I would say there was more of a, what to say, the ownership because they didn't want to see someone else progressing and taking the ownership of these different. So the bureaucracy is brutal, as we all know, and selling to NHS
Mm,
is one of the hardest tasks any one of us would face. So what I essentially did, I was like, okay, fine. You guys don't want to support me. I've got my channel. I'll reach out to people and I'll do it myself, which I eventually did. And I did gather the data. I did manage to publish that data. And there's a national conference of RCP coming up in June. I did submit my poster into the innovation of workforce and it did get accepted. I'm not saying I'm going to win the prize, but it did get accepted. It did get acknowledged by the people who actually
mm,
felt, okay, this could make a difference. That's
yeah,
what will happen to all of you guys. Your ideas would face immense scrutiny and pessimism, and no, no is the best answer to any one of us.
yeah, yeah. And you can get 100 no's, and none of them will matter. Just the one yes that
Yes.
you do get at the end of it. That's the only one.
I also heard a very encouraging quote by someone: no is a yes somewhere else.
Mm,
So, of course, no.
try again.
Yeah, try again.
Yeah. Okay. So people kind of have to really figure out why they're going to take this journey before even starting it. So don't
Yeah.
just sit in front of your camera and get going. Like, figure out why you're doing this. How does this fit into the bigger piece of the puzzle? Like, I think social media and content is a way to reach people. It's a way to spread your thought leadership. It's a way to find people that are very similar to you, those that align with your meaning, your view of the world. And so once they've figured out their why and said, okay, this is like something I just have to do it. Like, there's no way I can't do it. So now they've got that endless fuel to kind of like keep going
Yeah.
on this journey. What's the next step they should take?
They should have three basic things with them. One is a camera holder. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Second is a very, very basic phone. iPhone or the Android phone are more than enough. You do not need a hi-fi DSLR or a 25,000 pounds camera or anything. The third important thing is a very specific mic. Like as you can see, Shubh is using a mic. I'm using my headphones stuff, but yeah, mic is definitely better. So if you invest in all these things, see, I'm sitting in my bedroom right now. This is not my what to say studio. I can turn my camera the other way around. You'll find my bed. There's a study table. Very, very simple, basic stuff. But yeah, Shubh's more posher than me, of course. But again,
This is my study.
you don't need 10,000 pounds to create a room, a setup or something. Yes, once you've got money, people have done it because it does look a bit more posher and does attract
Mm,
more, I would say, viewership. But of course, if you're starting from your very basics, just make sure your light is nice, you've got a decent camera, and your microphone is good. That is it. You want to read it, you want to go random. See, that's your quality, and that's how you would be different. So, me or Shiva, no one to teach you or tell you, oh, you got to read this or not. Like, we are not doing this as scripted at all. Like, he's asking stuff,
yeah.
and I'm just coming randomly. That basically depends, guys, what you want to do. But again, your technical bit should be clear, your approach should be clear, and the way you're thinking, it should be absolutely, bang on the bullseye.
Yeah. I like that. And I think also about the scripting bit, there are bits of my podcast, like my intro and my outro, which I read out from the screen next to me. And that's because that's not the value and the core bit of this podcast. Like the intro and the outro, like if I read it, that makes no difference, but it conveys the message clearly. The conversation is where the value is. So have that bit of clarity in terms of where's the 80% that matters, and like that's the bit to focus on. Yeah.
With the 80%, there's one more thing I would like to add on, Shub. So, as you guys would have thought, when you're working full time as a clinician, you don't get time, which I don't blame you guys at
Mm,
all. That's what I did in my IMT3. I switched from full time to 80%, and that made a huge difference. I knew my Fridays are free. If I want to meet anyone, Friday is the day. I want to pitch anywhere, Friday is the day. I want to write, cold emails to people, Friday is the day. So that also makes a big difference to your ambitions in, trying to do something different. I think Shubh, you would definitely agree with this.
100%. I mean, I am 50% less than full time. So I have half of my week free, and that consistency, especially if you're doing something like A&E, where your rota's all over the place, you have no consistency. If I want to run like the group program I'm running right now does every Monday evenings at 5:30 p.m. Like I can now have that free. Like that was before not possible. I'd have to like juggle it around, and then it might work for some people, it might work for other people, and having that consistency just changes the game. And I know that like I've got scheduled time to go to the gym. I've got scheduled time to go through my emails. I've got scheduled time to post on LinkedIn, and it makes it a lot more disciplined, a lot more doable, and just a lot less overwhelming. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And if you
awesome.
if you've got kids, that's an entirely different ball game, guys. So I've got two girls. It's not like they're dragging me off, but as a parent, you have to designate a big chunk of your time to them as well. So again, becoming a content creator or a entrepreneur or a innovator, anything, you have to designate your time wisely, guys. Else you'll burn out in no time.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think on that note, with people being super inspired, let's swap the hosting. I'm going to let you take the mic and ask me whatever you'd like.
Thanks, Shub. So welcome to the show, guys. I'm going to grill Shub now. Okay. All right, sure.
For
So,
the
so
second time.
yeah, so first things first. You tell me when you started LinkedIn. Like I started
Hmm.
LinkedIn 3, 4 years ago. Never bothered, never cared. Still don't care much. I would say, sorry, LinkedIn. But how did that make a difference for you? When did you realize, okay, man, I got to do something different? And how did you do it?
Yeah, interesting. So I'd say I've probably been sitting on LinkedIn for the last like 5, 7 years. Just had an account, would get some random notifications, wouldn't really check it out. I think I got a lot more active on LinkedIn in terms of browsing when I was looking to leave medicine and I was looking at management consulting and other opportunities. One of the first things I did was get on LinkedIn and try to connect with other people out there, other clinicians who had done all of this. And in fact, I just did lots of cold outreach to people who were in management consulting firms and other jobs that I wanted to get into. And I said, would you be open to a 15-minute coffee chat, a conversation to give me some pointers and tips and to understand like what is life like on the other side? And so many people were really open to that conversation. And off the back of those conversations, I got referrals into some of my first few opportunities outside of medicine. And that's how I got my interviews in management consulting as well. So that was, I think, so this was roughly 2021, 22, I think. And that's when I got to know what the power of LinkedIn possibly could be. And just being able to reach people out there in the world, some of your biggest, people that you might be fangirling over, I guess, for lack of a better word. Sorry for the gender confirmation in that in that phrase, but essentially, I still remember this moment when very recently there's a man called Michael Gervais. He's got a very famous podcast called Finding Mastery. He's a psychologist. And I spoke about his book and his recent podcast episode in the comments on LinkedIn. And he actually just took the time to reply to me and said, glad you enjoyed that. Here's another thing you'd like. And I mean, that's how easy it's become to connect with some of your biggest stars. So really anything from like a new job opportunity to a bigger network is what I started to realize is possible. But at this point, I still wasn't posting on LinkedIn at all. I was just kind of participating. It was then, I think, as my career journey changed, instead of going to management consulting, I decided to become an executive coach. The more I trained in that, the more I tried to figure out why I'm doing this. Like you said, the why piece of like, what am I trying to accomplish through this? That's when I started to realize the role that LinkedIn and social media actually plays. And for me, it was like a tool to reach people. It was a tool for validating my ideas, and it was a tool to understand what's actually troubling people out there. Who can I serve? And, what's the past version of me that I want to fix? But then my experience is just mine alone. What are other people's experiences like? And how can I reach them? How can I talk to them? And I think that was the moment I said, let me try this platform, because compared to other platforms, so if you look at Insta, YouTube, TikTok. I'm not even on TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, all of these other platforms. I think LinkedIn's got a couple of unique things. So I think firstly, it being a text-based platform mainly was easy for me because I didn't have to like, I had tried a YouTube channel a couple of times, but then like I had to like figure out the editing again and then setting up the studio and all of that. Didn't have to bother, just type my thoughts out. So that was easy. The second thing which made it massively open to me was the huge professionalism that's present on LinkedIn. You don't get trolling. Everyone's got their name attached to it. Everyone's got their work network attached to it. So they have to show up in a very human manner. And it's not that they won't disagree with you. They will disagree with you, but they'll do it professionally. So I think the combination of the two made me have the freedom and the ability to actually learn and iterate as I went. And that's when I said, okay, I think this is the platform I want to go to. And very early on, I was making the mistake of saying, LinkedIn is doing fine. Maybe let me do my Instagram. Let me get on Spotify. Let me get on YouTube and like all of these things. And I was just splitting my energy everywhere. So I think it was start of 2024 January that I said, no, I'm just going to, no, sorry, this year, this January is when I said, I'm not going to do anything else. I'm going to do purely LinkedIn, which is the reason this podcast is being live streamed into LinkedIn, because I said that's my main focus. So if there's corollaries that come off, like I don't focus on my YouTube comments or growth or Insta comments and growth and anything. If even the consistency, like I'll post like maybe once a month, I'll post a couple of things and schedule it there. But LinkedIn is what I do every day, is the one platform that I've decided to focus on. And I think that consistency, that growth, that network, while LinkedIn itself has also been growing, has been like a wave I've been able to ride. So sorry, long-winded answer post night shift.
No worries, no worries. So, Shiv, just a question on that. There's a free version of LinkedIn and there's a paid version, premium version of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Do you use the premium version?
No, is the
Good.
short answer. I mean, I was on the paid version for a long time, and then I said, let me try without it, and I was fine. Full disclosure, at the moment, I'm on the premium, but only because it's being offered for a month for free. I'm in the middle of kind of promoting my new group program and all of that. So it's helping me reach more people, get a bit more statistics and data around what I'm doing. But no, I don't think I'd use that.
Great, great. Thanks for sharing. So tell us another thing that I would like to ask, So how did you come with this idea that you should create your own course and get your own cohort and, give the best that you want to give to them? What made you think that way, rather going it for different people to do it or doing it one-to-one basis? Why did you think of creating your own safe space?
Yeah, interesting. So I think if I'm looking back, like on the superficial level, I said, okay, Q1 of 2025, I want to do a lot more one-on-one work in this making medicine a side hustle space. And then Q2, I want to open a group. So for some reason, I just had this gut feeling like I want to do a group program. But I think it was a variety of factors. So I think there was a limitation in terms of what I wanted to charge people. I didn't want to charge them exorbitantly. There was limitations around my time. I could only dedicate a certain amount of time because I am still working clinically. And then there are certain revenue targets and things that you want to meet so that it's something that's sustainable for you and can keep going. And I think the combination put in place a lot of limitations, which meant that working in a group setting was better than working in just purely one-on-one. I mean, I do one-on-one work, but the group setting made it a lot more accessible, a lot more people could reach out. And then there's all of these benefits of bringing the group together. And the funny thing is, I don't know if you've done a Gallup strengths profile, but it's a validated assessment that kind of tells you what are your innate strengths and abilities that you already bring to the world, the things that you're extremely good at, better than the general population, and how that combines together. And actually, when I started this and I had these ideas and I went back and I looked at my strengths profile, which I kind of do every couple of months, I realized that I was using all of my top strengths in this group program. And that's really come to the fore with some of the feedback I'm collecting now, that people value the way I'm able to create that space and foster discussions between people, help them come up both with ideas, but also connections between things that we wouldn't have thought about otherwise. And that aspect of the way I uniquely build relationships is coming into that group program. So it's not a community. I have a WhatsApp group, but that's more for the sake of messaging and reaching people. It's not a community. It's everybody coming to a safe space and having a common experience. So I think what I was hugely inspired by was a couple of the group experiences that I'd been a part of, both through my coach training institute as well as another coaching cohort that I joined. And I think overall, like big picture trends in terms of what people are moving more and more towards is less of information gathering, less of pre-recorded courses, have information when we want it. We have AI to help us get through that. What we really crave and what we really want and I'm wanting more and more of is authentic human connection. And so it all just kind of fit in together. And I got the right signals back from the people I was reaching out to. They said yes, they'd be interested in this, and I said okay, let's give it a go, and it's turned out a success. So that's for me is data to say that's what I should double down on and do more of.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great, Shiv. So the last question I would ask is very simple and straight. What does utilizing AI tools mean to you?
Oh, it means so much. Simple and short question. If I was doing a simple and short answer, it means having a team of probably up to 15 people without actually having to hire 15 people. It is a huge time saver. It is a huge multitasker. It keeps hold of valuable information for me, which I might forget on the back of a couple of night shifts, but I can just say, hey, can you remind me what I said about this? And it's a huge game changer, and I'm sure you as well use it. I mean, we're doing this podcast now. In about an hour's time, I'll have it edited, cut into clips, ready to go. I'll have the show notes. I'll be able to post it about the next hour after that, and it's a game changer from like when I used to do YouTube like 10, 20 years ago, and every video would take me like 6 to 8 hours to figure out. And then on top of that, having to like extract data from that and say, what did we talk about? What are the show notes? What are the, like trying to come up with the landmark moments, when you kind of say timestamps for the video, that was like, I couldn't bother to do it because I was like, I'm not going through this video all over again to figure out when we spoke about what. And that's so easy now. It just makes it much easier. What's your experience been?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't use it, I would say, as much as you do, but in terms of making podcasts, I still don't use Riverside, guys. It's very expensive. It's very posh, I would say. I still use the free Zoom of 40 minutes one. But yeah, what I essentially do is when I've done it, I put it on the editor. I use Filmora and, just put in the AI stuff into it, and it just does the rest of the business, putting the captions, zooming in, zooming out, putting stuff, and this that. Such a big relief, I would say. But yeah, I would say there's a lot more to learn. That's what I'm still learning from people who are using AI and stuff, because there are many people who are doing this quantum mechanics and
Mm.
quantum hackathons and stuff, which is fairly very. I would say I'm still very primitive to it, but yeah, lot to learn, and
Yeah,
definitely
it's
AI
huge.
is brilliant if we use
I'll
it in
give
the right
you
way.
I'll give you a quick example as well, right? So in my actionship cohort, we meet on a Monday and we say, here's new stuff to think about. And then we do a drop-in session on Wednesday and we say, okay, let's get together, let's brainstorm ideas, test and validate a few things. But then like there's the rest of the week and people have questions, they have challenges. So I've got a custom GPT and I've fed it my tone of voice and the words I use based on the transcripts from my podcast, my videos, and everything. I've fed it like valuable data and information to be used on the back of, and I've given it specific ways of interacting with my members. So even if I'm not around, they can have a chat with this custom GPT.
Wow.
And that's not just valuable for me, but hugely valuable for the people I'm trying to serve because it solves their problem. And I don't have to all the time be replying to emails and I don't have to personally be messaging people. Oh, and this is all anonymized. Like I don't see what they have a conversation with them about, but the feedback's been that they find it super valuable. So why not? Why not use AI?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's the way to move ahead, guys. Otherwise, we will lag behind. So I think I should
Yeah.
pass the mic back to you, Shub.
Yeah, no, this has been a fantastic conversation, Aman. I think hugely inspiring for people considering social media, considering leading change, considering becoming clinical entrepreneurs and making medicine a side hustle. And thank you so much for sharing that in all honesty. And it's always fantastic to do this with you. And I think we should do another episode in the future as well.
Absolutely.
But I'm
Looking
just
forward to it.
Yeah, let's quickly check if there's been any questions. I think everyone's enjoying a sunny Saturday while we are doing night shifts. So no questions at the moment so far. But if anyone does have questions, where can they find you, Aman?
So, guys, I'm on LinkedIn as well. You can search me, Aman Sharma, or you can search my firm, UK Dreamers. And again, I'm also on YouTube and Insta, and not on the TikTok, but I'm planning to start. as I've been told by the young Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, that you're missing the bus. So that's it. Yeah. I'll share my stuff with Shub so he can share it with you guys.
Yeah, it'll be in the descriptions below. So yeah, thank you everybody for tuning into the Medic Side Hustles podcast. Our next live one will be with one of the amazing men behind the mysterious Peer Network. He's also a KMC alumni. Fazeen Nasser. We're going live on the 28th of May, and then in season 2 we will have the Peer Brothers on as well. So look forward to that. Very special thanks to Dr. Akash Vijayan for producing the beautiful intro music, especially for this podcast. And I hope this has been an inspiring conversation that's helped you think bigger about your career and your impact. Until next time, stay curious, keep solving big problems, and remember, you have the power to create something extraordinary.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Take care. Cheers. Bye.